definitely feel better. Kick off your day with the Carnival Breakfast Show, Mondays through Fridays, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Absolute Radio for the funnest way to start your day. The Carnival Breakfast Show. Dig in.
Today is another beautiful day. Today, 19th morning, everyone, and welcome to Carnival Breakfast Show, coming to you from Carnival Radio. This is newspaper review. I am Joseph Oyikola. Good morning and welcome once again. As of known, today on newspaper review, I came with different newspapers, and each of them with interesting stories. I have the Punch with me, I have the Vanguard newspaper, I have the Post, a newspaper. Of course, I have the Nation, a newspaper. Before reading these in details, we're forced to read the headlines. And if you have, any of the stories interest you, please note it down because we'll be taking reactions at the end of this segment. Good morning and welcome once again. Pick the first headline from the Punch newspaper, and it's as regards the 2027 general election, and it's why Tinubu Obi others sign peace pact as 2027 campaign begins today. Here is another headline from the Vanguard newspaper. Oyebamiji mom on Adeleke's congratulatory call decries attack on supporters. Onto the Nation newspaper, salary crisis, NLC wants a fresh health sector strike. Now to the Daily Post newspaper, APC governors are tenants in government houses, says Baraje. And on to the news and details. Political parties and presidential and national assembly candidates on Tuesday signed the fourth National Peace Accord on issue-based campaigns ahead of the 2027 general elections, pledging to shun violence, hate speech, misinformation, personal attacks, and other conduct capable of undermining the electoral process. The accord was signed in Abuja at a ceremony organized by the National Peace Committee in partnership with the Kuka Center, barely 24 hours before the statutory commencement of public campaigns and rallies for the election. The event brought together the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Johas Amopitan, political party leaders, presidential candidate, National Assembly candidate, the Inspector General of Police, Latunji Disu, and representatives of the diplomatic community, among other stakeholders. Those who signed the accord included President Bola Tinubu, represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, the Nigerian Democratic Congress presidential candidate, Peter Obi, the Social Democratic Party candidate, Adewale Adebayo, and his African Action Congress counterpart, Omoyele Sowore. Other participants were the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Professor Natawi Iwanda, the presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party and Labour Party, Donan Duke, Chibuzo Okereke, the deputy president of the Senate, Barau Jibril, the PRP national chairman, Hakim Baba Hamad, federal and state lawmakers, party leaders, and other candidates. The event also featured goodwill messages from diplomatic representatives, including the European Union ambassador to Nigeria, Gatio Mignot, and the ambassador of Switzerland to Nigeria, Patrick Heglov. However, some major political actors, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde, were absent from the ceremony. Atiku is the presidential candidate of the African Democratic Congress, while Makinde is the presidential candidate of the Allied People's Movement. The chairman of the National Peace Committee, former head of state General Abdulsalam Abubakar, retired, was represented by former Chief of Defense Staff, General Martin Hagwai, retired. The ceremony was held against the backdrop of growing political activities ahead of the 2027 elections, but the economy, insecurity, unemployment, poverty, infrastructure deficit, and the credibility of the electoral process expected to dominate the campaigns. The names are sought from the Punch newspaper. For more details, please visit the Punch newspaper. Presidential election, Tinubu Obi, other sign peace part as 2027 campaign begins today. Moving to the Vanguard newspaper, and the story is about the gubernatorial election that happened on Saturday in Osun State, and this is where Oyebamiji mom on Adeleke's congratulatory call decries attack on supporters. The All Progressives Congress candidate in the Osun State governorship election, Bola Oyebamiji, has yet to respond to Governor Ademola Adeleke's call for him to congratulate him on his re-election, despite calls from prominent political figures and groups for him to acknowledge the victory. President Bola Tinubu, the Nigerian Governors Forum, several APC governors, and other party leaders have since congratulated Adeleke on his victory. On Monday, the Senate leader, Okoyemi Bamidele, also urged Oyebamiji to congratulate Adeleke following the governor's victory in Saturday's election. In a statement made available on Tuesday, the APC candidate instead appreciated the party loyalists and supporters and urged security agencies to intervene and halt alleged attacks on members and supporters of the party. Oyebamiji, in a statement obtained by the newsman Noshogo, noted the growing trend of hostility and violence against members and supporters of the APC. He, however, commended the members of their steadfastness, commitment, sacrifice, and tireless effort throughout the governorship election. Further, to the volunteers who gave their time and energy, and to the committed party members and leaders across the state who turned out to energize the campaign, Oyebamiji said he appreciates everyone. He further called on his supporters to continue adding value, saying the causes championed by him are still alive. The news source from the Vanguard newspaper. Oyebamiji mom on Adeleke's congratulatory call decries attack on supporters. Here is another story from the Nation newspaper, where NLC warns of fresh health sector strike as regards the salary crisis. The Nigerian Labour Congress has urged the federal government to urgently resolve the lingering salary dispute with the joint health sector unions, warning that failure to revive negotiations could trigger another industrial crisis in the health sector. The NLC made the call in a letter dated August 6, 2026, addressed to the Minister of Labour and Employment and signed by its President Joe Ajaero. Later followed a July 31 communication by the joint health sector unions expressing frustration over the slow pace of effort to resolve its demands, particularly the adjustment of the consolidated health salary structure. The NLC said it was concerned that agreement, memoranda of understanding and collective bargaining agreement reached with the government over the years had yet to fully resolve the grievances of health workers. The Labour Centre, therefore, appealed to the Labour Minister to intervene and ensure the negotiations resume immediately, while also urging him to engage the Presidential Committee on Salaries on the matter. The NLC warned that a failure to resolve the dispute could have serious consequences, particularly for healthcare delivery and industrial relations in the country. The news was sourced from the Nation newspaper. Salary crisis. NLC warns of fresh health sector strike. On to the last news on Newspaper Review this morning, but not the least. APC governors are tenants in government houses, says Roger. The news was picked from the Post newspaper. A former national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Alhaji Kawu Baraji, has described governors elected on the platform of the All Progressives Congress APC as tenants in government houses, saying the ruling party has lost the confidence of Nigerians ahead of the 2027 general elections. He said this while speaking to the newsmen at the Dutch International Airport on its way to Azare Bauchi State. Baraja noted that the PDP had overcome its internal crisis and was now better positioned to regain power in states currently controlled by the APC. According to him, the APC's previous electoral gains were largely facilitated by internal divisions within the opposition party. He maintained that the PDP accepted the outcomes of the 2015 and 2023 elections in the interest of peace, despite having reservations over the result. The former PDP chairman expressed confidence that the party's renewed unity and reconciliation will strengthen its prospect ahead of the 2027 polls, adding that Nigerians are increasingly demanding the return of the opposition. He predicted that the PDP would reclaim Bauchi, Jigawa, other states currently governed by the APC in the next general elections. Raje's comments come amid increasing political activities and realignment by major political parties ahead of the 2027 elections, with opposition parties seeking to regain ground in states controlled by the APC. News was sourced from the Post newspaper. For more details, please visit the Post newspaper. APC governors are tenants in government houses, says Baraja. And with that, we've come to the end of the newspaper a review. If you have reactions on how the story read, you can put the call through to us on 091 or visit our website at www.carnivalmedia.ng. Also, you can download our mobile app from Google Play Store and App iOS. It is Carnival Media. Before we close this chapter this morning, here is the recap of headlines. Salary crisis. NLC warns of fresh health sector strike. Presidential election. Tinubu Obi Hoda sign peace pact as 2027 campaign begins today. Oyebamiji mourn on a delicate congratulatory call. The cries attack and supporters. APC governors are tenants in government houses, says Baraji. And thank you very much for listening. My name remains Joseph Oyekala. Please do well to enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.